Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Arij if you're new, and today I am making a video about religion because I've been getting a lot of comments and questions recently from various people about what my religious beliefs are. So yeah, this is the video that is going to address all of that. I wanted to make this video right now because number one, I feel completely ready. I feel confident in my beliefs and feel that I want to share them with other people because my thought processes might help other people come to terms with their own. As well, I had an experience a couple of days ago that kind of really made me stop and reflect on my belief systems surrounding religion and spirituality and how they have changed and evolved over the past few years. I welcome responses, like if this video or what I say in this video makes you feel any type of way, strongly positive or negative, I would love to hear about it. I kind of want to open up a discussion because I'm so interested to hear what you think of what I think, you know? So yeah, anything. If you agree, disagree, whatever, just leave it down below and we'll talk about it. So just to give you some background, I grew up in a very strict religious household. My parents are both Muslim, so they raised me and my younger sisters as Muslim. And although we didn't have to wear a hijab or anything like that, we still had to follow most of the main guidelines that the religion of Islam has established. So for example, you have to pray a couple of times a day, you have to fast, you have to like follow the dietary restrictions. It's like any rule that was placed on a Muslim was very strictly enforced. Questioning any of these rules or belief systems or teachings was strongly discouraged. I remember asking my mom about why something was, and she would get like low-key like angry towards me about like, oh, you shouldn't ask questions like that, like God's gonna be mad at you if you try to. But the reason why I was asking those questions was because if I disagreed with something, I wanted to understand the purpose of those rules. Because what's the point of following something if, first of all, you don't understand it, and second of all, you disagree. Also, my family is from Pakistan, and what I've found in South Asian cultures is that a lot of the time, religion and culture ends up getting mixed together. And cultural norms and cultural rules disguise themselves as religious rules because religion has more power over people because there's like this God that is backing up the rule, and if you don't follow it then he's gonna get mad at you. But culture is just like, this is what our people do, like this is what's expected. So there's not that like divine intervention type fear associated with cultural norms. So in order to enforce them better, people mix them into the religion. And an example of this, like growing up in my life, like was at home. A lot of the times when I wanted to go out with my friends or go outside in general, just like leave the home, like chill outside, a lot of the time my parents would say no. And the reasoning behind that was sometimes that God doesn't like girls to leave the house too much or spend too much time outside. And that is not a teaching of Islam. Like, it really isn't. It's just a teaching of, it's like a patriarchal expectation placed on women in the society of South Asian communities. So that's just an example of that, but I ended up seeing religion as strictly a form of control. I never saw it as something that was supposed to bring you closer to life's deepest meanings and to bring you inner peace. All that it brought to me was negativity. It was like a bunch of rules that I had to follow, and if I didn't follow, I was to be severely punished, either in the form of my parents getting mad at me and yelling at me, or God getting mad at me and condemning me to hell when I was dead. So there was a lot of fear and negativity around religion and religious belief. I didn't see any positive to it. So when you grow up in such an authoritarian type of environment, you're bound to feel feelings of rebellion, etc. Because I was the eldest child, I had these like strong feelings to want to be approved of by authority figures. So my parents, my teachers, God. So I never broke any rules whatsoever. I honestly did truly 100% believe in the religion of Islam. That's how I lived my life. But I started kind of thinking a different way at the end of high school. Like, I think I stopped praying and a bunch of other stuff, but I still believed in it. I just knew that there was something off and that I didn't fully relate to it anymore, but I was too scared to like let go or do anything drastic in case I was punished. So all of this kind of came to a climax when I met my partner Garrett at university. And according to the religion of Islam, you can't have a relationship with the opposite sex before marriage. And as well, you can't be in a relationship with someone who isn't Muslim. I was doing both. So this was like the first time I was really breaking the rules. And it really did cause a lot of conflict within me because on one hand, I wanted to be religious because I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want anything bad to happen to me. But on the other hand, like, I didn't understand why this God had put me in a situation where on one hand I was experiencing the best thing I've ever experienced in my life, and I could tell from the like bottom of my heart that I was meant to be with this person and that this person was only going to bring me good. And on the other hand, it was like, no, but there's these rules that you have to follow. Sorry, I know it's like bringing you happiness and joy and whatever, but you can't. You have to ignore it and follow these rules because these are the rules that were written. So that's just what you have to do. And at this point, there was kind of like a fork in the road for me. It was like religion on one side and then Garrett on the other. And I chose Garrett because that's what I felt to be the best path for me. So I completely like shoved religion. Like, I was like, I threw it away. I was like, F this, like, I'm not dealing with this. I don't need this negativity. I don't need this restrictive force in my life. I don't want anything to do with it. And honestly, when I made this decision, I did not feel anything but happiness because all of a sudden it was like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. I was now fully in control of my life. I didn't feel guilt. Like, my life like opened up. Like, there were so many possibilities now. I felt so happy. But at the same time, it was also one of the most difficult periods of my life because not only was I having issues with my family for the first time ever in my life, but also leaving the religion and leaving a belief system like that is really difficult because number one, a huge appeal that religion has for people is that it brings you a lot of comfort, like existential comfort. All of life's most unanswerable questions are answered by religion in a straightforward way, and it makes you feel at ease with human existence. But once you get rid of that so abruptly, now you have to start the process of confronting all of these things that you've been neglecting to confront for your whole life. Like, this is the first time that I was like, whoa, okay, so what's gonna happen after you die? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing the right thing? Like, what, you know? So there was a lot of those questions that were bothering me. And then at the same time, like, when you grow up believing in a certain reality and then all of a sudden you realize that, wait, everything that you believed might not be completely true, that's really hard to deal with as well. Despite the happiness and joy that I felt from feeling liberated by leaving the religion, I also felt sadness, confusion. There was like a void that I now had felt like I had to fill with something else. So at this point I was obviously very depressed, very anxious. Just everything that I was going through was so extremely painful, and I was trying to find ways to deal with it. And one of the things that I came across was yoga. Another thing was meditation. And ultimately, these two things are what led me to start exploring the realm of secular spirituality. At this point, I started listening to podcasts about the subject, like listening to people talk about it. People who were learning how to connect to something greater than themselves outside of any organized religion. I can think of Sam Harris, Russell Brand, people like that. I started listening to what they thought, what their opinions were on the subject, and I started forming my own beliefs. And now that kind of leads me to where I am today. I am not an atheist, as some people in my comments think I am, and I've never been one because I feel that it is just as close-minded to think that there completely is no higher power as it is to believe that there for sure is a higher power and that there is a certain set of rigid rules that you have to follow. Like, it's just as bad, you know? Like, the path that I chose is open-mindedness. At this point, I believe that there is some sort of higher power, whatever you want to call it, God, Allah, whatever. But I don't think that there are certain rules that you have to follow to appease such a higher power. I feel this higher power is just a force that kind of connects all of us and all of the things together in the universe. It's what keeps things like moving. I don't think that the universe is random. I agree that there are some random aspects of the universe, but I still think there is some underlying flow, some underlying force that controls things. And when it comes to like the rules and guidelines that I follow, I have been studying different religions now, and my strategy is to take the good from every religion, because what I've come to realize is that pretty much all the major religions have the concepts of being kind to one another, being honest, not causing suffering upon other living beings. These are what I believe are the ultimate truth, the ultimate guidelines that we need to be following, and that anything else that differs among the religions is up for questioning. It's like when it comes to what you can wear, what you can eat, etc. It's like when it gets to those rules, that's the point where religion becomes less of a way to connect with something bigger than yourself and more a way to control other people. And the way that this higher power, whatever that I'm talking about, to me it manifests in the inner guidance that I sometimes experience every now and then. And I've really like been able to connect to this through meditation and through yoga. But it's like that voice within you, like when you're going through something really difficult. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I've experienced it on many different occasions. Mostly when I'm trying to make a decision that's really hard, where either option sounds equally as bad. It's like, what am I supposed to do? And you feel this answer come from within you, but it's not you. When I'm going through something like that, it's like I'm super stressed trying to figure something out, and then all of a sudden like a feeling of calmness like washes over me, and I feel taken care of in a way, and there's a presence with me that is helping me through it. And I feel like that is what God is, that is what the higher power is, that is meant to be connected to. And this presence is all loving. I have never felt fear. I've never felt judgment. It is only acceptance. And this is why religions exist, because at some point people experience the same thing. They experienced this presence and they wanted to share it with other people. So they tried to encapsulate it into a set of rules and regulations and guidelines. And I'm sure that at some point the message was still intact, but over the years and over the different interpretations, this main message has really gotten muddied. But anyway, going back to the title of this video, so the experience that I had a couple of days ago was I was at home visiting, and when I'm at home, my parents are still my parents, so they were telling my younger sisters to go and pray. And usually when they tell them to pray, it's like I'm in the room, but they don't say it to me, they don't force me to do anything. They respect my choice. So I usually don't. I just sit there and wait for my sisters to be done, and then we like continue doing what we were doing. But this time I kind of had a thought, and I was like, I realized that the reason I stopped praying was because I had all these negative associations with it. It made me feel bad, and I didn't understand it. I didn't see the point of praying because I prayed for my parents and not for anything else. But learning everything that I've learned over the past couple of years, I realized that prayer is pretty much what I already do. It's like Muslim prayer is a combination of yoga and meditation. So yoga, because if you've ever seen Muslim people pray, it's like they have a bunch of different poses that they follow in sequence while they're praying. Like they'll like bend down and then they'll get back up and then they'll go like put the bow down onto the floor, etc. And that's literally, you can associate yoga poses with those stances. And then the meditation part comes in, because when I meditate, I focus on my breath. The point of meditation to me is to take a break from the constant negative thoughts that kind of bombard you, and to be able to control them and like separate yourself from them and not identify with them, and be able to really discipline your mind so that you don't get lost in thought patterns that are bad for you. And the way I do it is I focus on my breath. And whenever a thought comes in, I just return to the breath. It's the same thing in Muslim prayer, except you're not focusing on your breath, you're focusing on verses from the Quran. But it's the same thing, like you have to stay focused, and anytime another thought comes up, you just return to the verse. So it's the same thing, it's the same teaching, but I didn't get that before. And this time I was like, wait, it's kind of interesting that this is the same teaching but manifested in a different way. So I prayed with my sister, and it's like I've prayed hundreds and hundreds of times in my life like that, and never once have I felt it like I did a few days ago. And I'm not even considering myself Muslim anymore, but it was still such a powerful experience for me. So that's kind of like where I am right now. I am very open-minded, and I feel like it doesn't matter what you believe, because like all of us are living in the same reality. It doesn't matter if you believe in a higher power or not. If there is one, then we all live under it. If there's not one, then neither of us have one. But what matters most is that you don't judge other people. Some people might find peace and fulfillment and guidance from organized religion, and that's fine for them as long as they don't enforce it on anyone else. And there's other people like me who don't like that rigidity and would like more choice. And I have found that same inner peace through secular spirituality, is what I'm calling it. And me and my mom are both on the same path. Like, we have discussions now. She's still Muslim and I'm not, but we have the same beliefs, because although we have come to them in different ways through different paths, we have still come to the same conclusions, and it's actually really, really cool. So yeah, that's what I think at the moment right now. Like I said before, if you have any response to this, I would love to hear about it in the comments, because I want to know what you think, pretty much, and whether any of what I said made sense to you, or if it didn't, and why it didn't, etc. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.